you been wondering, is it possible to go green? Can I really do agriculture, horticulture, without the use of chemicals? Because we're used to using most of these chemicals, buying from the shops. It is possible. I'm here today to speak to Mr. Cole, pertaining a wonderful work that he is doing. He uses manure from chicken. He does not use any chemical to deal with pests.
True, that's true.
All he's doing is using the resources that he has.
Yeah, true.
It is plot.
That's true.
My name is Haig from 2CCN. Mr. Cole.
You're most welcome, Mr. Haig.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your visit.
I'm glad that you invited us.
Surely. I hope you are going to enjoy me taking you through the garden. And we are here in a very natural garden which is located 2 kilometers away from Rewa Center and apparently in Mashonaland East Province. And we are practicing horticulture on a very small scale. The garden happens to be approximately 450 square meters. We have a variety of vegetables that we have in place. And we do rotate them periodically. What we have here is the wrap, which you can see here, and we have a bit of some carrots, the green leaf vegetables that we have. You can also imagine that we have tried not only to have the artificial fencing, but we are using the dry grass to make sure that during the winter season we do have a windbreak, a natural windbreak, to avoid frost for our tomatoes. The most interesting thing in regards the production of organic food, what we have in the Murewa Center community is a poultry project, and there we have a number of chickens that we do rear to a maximum of about 500. So what happens is, once we harvest the chickens, they give us also the poultry manure, so we have nothing to lose. We take the poultry manure, we now apply it to make sure that we maintain our soil fertility. I will take you down the lane. You can see that we have some different levels of vegetables. The other ones, these ones are more mature. These ones are still coming up. These ones are the medium. We also have some carrots here. Everything that you see in this garden, there is no application of fertilizers. But what we normally do is to rotate them, one crop after the other. Reason why you may see that we have a lot of the leaf vegetable is the demand that we have. The surrounding communities come here and buy some vegetables. So they normally come as individuals, they may come as groups, but we just sell them to anyone else. If you move to the end, towards the end, you can see that we still have just a small portion. So apparently we are almost using up to 90% of this total space that we have. You may be also interested to note that organic farming is very interesting. You have nothing to lose. At the moment you start a cycle where you have animals that can produce manure, you just take the manure to the garden, and from the garden you also have the food which can also be fed by both animals and human beings. Why referring to animals? We have also a number of road runners. The road runners that we have, from the vegetables that we cut down in the pruning process, we can also use those ones as source of food for our chickens. So you can see it's very exciting. Someone may ask also to say, how do we manage the pests? Very interesting. You know that when we burn fire, there's the production of the ash. What we do is we take that ash, put it in a container, put some water overnight, a 10-liter container with half a bucket of ash. That liquid becomes a source of pesticides. The pesticides which we normally get is in the form of aphids, those small aphids, those small red spiders. You can also have them controlled by spraying the liquid ash that you would have produced out of the ash that comes from burning fire. So apparently, these are the ways we control our pests. The other one that we use as a strategy to control pests is also the system of rotating them. Crop rotation, we know it all, that once you rotate crops, you destroy the cycle of any pest that may be in a specified area. So we have realized that once we do crop rotation, once we use the ash liquid, everything becomes very natural. Of interest, you also realize that in the edges of our garden, there's some sweet potatoes. These ones are now earmarked for the bigger picture, the field crops. We realize that the rain season is coming, and what we are doing is to prepare for the bigger production of sweet potatoes. So this is what we have in the form of our organic garden. We also realize that one might be interested to note on the other benefits that we have had. As a family, of course, we have had self-sufficiency in terms of food supply. We barely have all that we need from the vegetables. If you go over that angle, there are some spinach, we have our onions, we have our fruit, vegetables, we have also the root, the carrot, the onion, everything. So we don't pump out money to buy some vegetables. We are self-sufficient in terms of food. We also get some income. If members of the community are coming and they want some vegetables, we have a room to sell some of these vegetables to any consumer who may approach us. Interestingly, you will realize that organic food does taste very naturally. There are no traces of any chemical, no traces of any artificial fertilizer. So if I give you anything from this garden, it tastes very natural. If it is the tomato, it is very juicy, it's natural, and you enjoy it. If you take the vegetables, they are barely a natural, God-given type of food, without any chemical, without any artificial fertilizer. So the challenges that we are having now, our water source is very reliable, but when it comes to watering, especially this hot season, you will realize that we have to do a lot of manual carrying of buckets around the whole garden to make sure that these crops survive the hot season. So if by all means we would have had a water pump and a tank, I think we would have maybe expanded the garden, because this one is only but around 450 square meters and we have utilized about 90% of it. So imagine if we had a water pump and a tank, it would mean that we would reduce our manual labor in terms of harvesting of water to make sure that all these tomatoes and everything is well catered for. So apparently that's the greatest challenge that we have in regards to the production. In terms of labor is not a challenge to us at all as of now, because the family, starting from our children, our wives, they all enjoy coming to the garden. They take it as a hobby. So we do have some kind of competition to see who can produce a better crop than the other in terms of apportioning. This is my wife, Miss Ko. We do have a family of 3 children, 2 girls and 1 boy. But she is a very good helper. She always come here to assist us in the production of all these vegetables that you are seeing. And we also have the other members who happens to be my brother and his wife. They also are part of this project. It's quite a very exciting scenario that we have. Normally to have women who can support their husbands in terms of execution of 1 or 2 projects. Apparently this is only but a start of an agro-based production. We hope after this garden we are going to have another area where we are going to have mushroom production. It's going to be very exciting. On this premise of about 5 hectares, we have allocated a space for the mushroom production, which we will later take you to. Ms. Ko, I hope we are happy that Mr. Hague is around. You should be smiling to see the good youngsters coming to just to have an appreciation of what you are doing. Yeah. So thank you so much. Thank you for being a very good wife who is very supportive. Thank you. Mr. Hague, we are almost on the central part of a 5-hectare kind of plot here. And basically this is the area that we have decided to start the mushroom project. As you can see, we do have some kind of preparation in terms of land clearance that we have done. We also have some bricks and the strap, the farm waste that we have. You realize that during the summer time we have high rates of wildfires, but as you can see around, there is no fire that has been used to clear this land. Why? Because we do value this grass, the natural grass. We are going to have it as our farm waste. Given the opportunity that we will manage to have the shed, we want to do 100 square meter shed, which is going to be basically 20 meters by 5. So on 100 square meter plot, we expect from the shed to use all the natural grass that you can see, and you can see that we do have the maize waste that we have. So we are going to make sure that we prepare this as strap that we are going to use for the production of oyster mushroom. We have realized that we can manage to produce oyster because of the mode of production that we are going to use. The other kind of mushroom that we have, the butter mushroom. The butter mushroom do require that we use the horse manure.
Yep.
But here in Murewa we don't have horses. Apparently for us to get horse manure, it may prove to be very expensive.
Indeed.
So we are trying to use what we have around. We prepare our strip, we use our natural waste that we have from the farm, then we start our mushroom production. So As I have indicated earlier on, we're going to have cells that are going to be 100 square meters, 100 square meters. So stretching right down there, approximately we want to have 6 cells. 6 cells at a magnitude of 100 square meters. That will give us about 600 square meters of mushroom production. We anticipate we're going to generate some kind of employment to the immediate community. We also have to provide an alternative, cheap source of food in the form of mushroom. As you realize that they have got various benefits in terms of nutrition, they are medicinal, and we also have kind of balanced diet. But our greater intention as a family and as a community is to have a starting point where we are going to train other people again in the production of mushroom, so that we have food security not only for ourselves but for the community at large. So we hope, basically, all things being equal, it's going to be a family project. We extend it to the community. We train other people to also have that kind of knowledge, because we alone, we cannot afford to make sure that the whole community is self-sufficient. So we need to rope in some other players. And by so doing, I think people will now begin to realize the value of nature. That even when it is just time where there's no rains, there's no need for us to bend the environment that we have. No need to start wildfires, because you realize that everything that God has created, to some point, it is just a cycle towards a balanced ecosystem. So I hope, Mr. Egg, you are going to come again some few weeks down the line. You should see us having the completed cell for mushroom production. Over there, we also have another source of water. If you want, I will take you there. So being the initial site, we decided to have a permanent source of water. And this permanent source of water has been completely done. It's just waiting for utilization.
You mentioned something interesting earlier, where you were talking about employment. How many people do you think you will be able to employ within this community?
With this community, given the magnitude that we intend, not less than 20 people, because they are going to be working in shifts.
That is wonderful.
Yeah, they are going to be working in shifts. So not less than 20 people will have the direct employment from this point, not mentioning the indirect people who will benefit from such a project. But 20 or more can be directly employed. Yeah. And if you see, we have just a small, we are trying to nurture everything. You can see the demarcation that we have.
Yeah.
Small trees coming up, no wildfires, no nothing. And we hope that if all goes well, we need to use about 90% of this land for the mushroom production.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So basically, that's what we are intending to do. This is the water point, and apparently it was completed last month. That was the month of August, and it's ready for use. But all things being equal, we hope that in our forecast planning, once we complete the cell, we also need to have modalities to make sure that the water is harvested in a very safe way, by maybe way of having a submersible pump, a tank, for us to stretch some 100 meters down the line.
That is wonderful.
Yeah.
Mr. Cole,
Thank you so
thank
much.
you very much for your time.
No, you're most welcome.
I wish you all the best.
No, thank
and
you.
there's 2CCN, we'll keep in touch.
No, you're
Keep in
most
touch.
welcome.
Viewers, from myself and the 2CCN team, have a blessed day. Thank you.